This might be one of the most valuable videos that I've ever published here for free on this YouTube channel. I'm going to walk you step by step through my strategy, how I am planning to ride this bull run. What do I look out for when to sell? What do I potentially sell into? When should we focus on the altcoins? When should we focus on Bitcoin? And when should we completely exit the market? I don't have a crystal ball either, but I do look at metrics that tended to work pretty well in the past and that I believe will continue to work well in the future. And what I will be focusing on to determine where a potential top in this market cycle might be is, among others, this model here, the market value to realized value Z-score. This tended to peak very nicely with the cycle peaks. Every time it hit the red area, it did overshoot a bit more in prior cycles. It tends to be a bit more muted now. So I'll already get cautious once we hit the 5 to 6 mark over here. Now, what is this metric? We are looking here at how much is the market in aggregate in profit relative to the volatility, relative to how erratic the price movements in Bitcoin are. We can measure how much people are in profit with the realized price, right? We simply just look at on-chain, at what price did Bitcoin move the last time in aggregate, so we know on average what's the cost basis of the entire market. We also know the volatility, as in how much does the price tend to move up and down. Now, historically, the overvaluation, or how much people are in profit relative to the volatility, is a very nice measure to time tops. And so yes, we are still very far away from the top according to this metric. But as said, I don't need to be at 7 or so to sell here. I'm okay to take profit a bit earlier, simply because the relative profits one can make, even compared to volatility, tend to decline somewhat. This is one of the major things I look at, but it's not the only thing. Another super valuable tool is the value days destroyed multiple. So what we are measuring with the value days destroyed is whether or not the people that tend to hold Bitcoin over the long term are now suddenly exiting. So if you hold, for example, 2 Bitcoin and you hold this over 100 days, and after 100 days you decide to sell your Bitcoin, you decide to move it, then you're destroying 200 value days. So the more Bitcoin gets moved, the more Bitcoin that had been held for a long time, the more value days get destroyed. So when the people that tend to not trade actively, that tend to simply just hold, when they suddenly sell, that's a very red flag. That's a flag to exit the market as well. The market is so heated that the people that usually don't sell suddenly move. And so when this gets again into the red territory to a similar magnitude as in prior peaks, that's definitely a time when I will be exiting Bitcoin. Now, pretty much every day, the people in the premium membership, the premium members, ask me about where do I see the potential top, as in what do I expect the price to be once we hit those levels. And again, I do not have a crystal ball, but we can have a look at some metrics that historically worked pretty well. And when I'm showing you this metric now, you might get disappointed. But that's okay, right? Most people need to be over optimistic. They need to believe that we rise further for us to be able to exit, right? Nobody's going to buy the Bitcoin from us if everybody believes that we are going down from here. When you exit the market, you are in the minority. Most people will be bullish, and you have to be against the masses. Let me show you the metric, the terminal price. This is also derived from the value days destroyed, and this did overshoot a bit more in the past. The nice thing about this model though, that it also hit in 2021. A lot of those top signals didn't get triggered in 2021. And so right now, even though it's still slightly rising, right now that price is at 120K. And there's a real chance that we're not even going to hit those 120K. Because here's the thing, missing out on some gains isn't that much of a deal, but missing out on taking profit, that is a big deal. The risk to reward isn't that great anymore once we are close to those 120K. When we are at 100K and you think, should we take the additional 20K here, or should we maybe rather exit a bit early and not risk getting again wrecked in the next bear market where the price can go down by 60-70%? If you think in those terms, risk versus reward, then you have to get out early enough. And so I will combine all of those models with the best backtested moving averages. I have backtested moving averages trying to find out when are we in a bull market, when are we in a bear market. And when all those other models signal red, then I will look very, very closely to the moving averages. To be more specific, the 120-day simple moving average is what historically worked the best for Bitcoin. And that's the one that I will take as a clear selling signal. So if we now temporarily go below that line in turquoise, I'm not worried too much. But if this is high, and this is high, and this is close to 120, and we are crossing below this 120-day simple moving average, then I am out. I'm fully aware that I will not sell at the tippy top because we might be dropping from that top by like 23% or so until the sell signal triggers. But that's okay with me. I don't have to find the perfect top and the perfect bottom. I simply just want to make money. But here comes then the big question. What do we do when Bitcoin has run its course? When it's already that high? Early buyers now will make millions. That's how you get clicks on YouTube. But that's not necessarily how you really make money. The way to make money with crypto is to be more skilled than others, to know more than others, to do blockchain analytics better than others. It's the boring technical content that doesn't do well on YouTube, but that forms skills and that I offer in the premium membership. So there's a lot of tutorials over there, how I approach analyses. And if you join, you also get direct access to me. You can ask me any questions and I reply as fast as I can. We are still below 100 people, so I do have enough time to reply everyone. Feel free to check it out. It's thebitcoinstrategy.com. Does it make sense at that point in time to sell everything, to go back into fiat, to maybe buy some stocks and not look at crypto at all anymore? I don't believe so. I think it's very likely that we will see a secondary rally from that point onwards. Because have a look at the past. Those signals here, they flashed in Q1 of 2021. So that's the terminal price. That's the value days destroyed here in January of 2021. And that's the MVRV score in February of 2021. The price of Bitcoin was at roughly 40K. It still went up a little bit. It also went down a little bit. It pretty much stopped growing. It simply just fluctuated around the 40K. Now, what also happened in January of 2021 is a very elevated level in Bitcoin dominance. More than 70% of all of crypto was just Bitcoin. So that was over here. Then Bitcoin dominance crashed. Or to say it differently, altcoin dominance rallied massively. So Bitcoin went sideways and the altcoins made all the gains. I expect this to potentially repeat if the altcoin dominance doesn't rise together with Bitcoin in this bull run. If Bitcoin dominance continues to go up due to the ETF buying pressure and the altcoins underperform, then I will, once Bitcoin hits those 100K or so, I will move most of that money into the altcoins and take another rally. But what if altcoins already rallied at that point? Let's say Bitcoin dominance didn't rise, but Bitcoin is already at 80, 90, 100K. Does it make sense then to still rotate into the alts? Probably not. Because that's the entire idea of investing in altcoins, right? You want to get more exposure, you want to get more upside, but when it's already relatively high to prior all-time highs, people aren't going to go too heavily into the alts. And so my plan is, if we are already at 80, 90, 100K, and Bitcoin dominance isn't over here, but stays over here, or even goes down a bit, then I will rebalance my portfolio significantly. So the idea that I always have is, I want to own different asset classes, right? I want to have some property, I want to have some precious metals, I want to have some stocks, and I want to have some crypto. Now, if crypto already went up that much and there's no more opportunities in crypto, then I don't want to be overexposed to crypto. So naturally, because of the price rally, a lot of my overall wealth would then be in crypto. At the same time, the risk is pretty high. So I will then try to have the lower end of my portfolio allocation in crypto. I will not exit 100%, but I will rebalance to a degree that I don't have 50 or 60% in crypto anymore, but I will put this down to maybe 15, 20%. So sell around 2/3 of my holding. Could I miss out on some gains at that point? Of course I could, but I'd rather have some safe profit, a nicely well-diversified portfolio with good expected return, rather than trying to squeeze out the last little bit of potential profit. It's always about risk versus reward. And I have a very hard time measuring the potential reward if all of the models that I tend to use are already red. It's always much harder to sell because the amounts when you sell are way, way larger than the amounts when you're buying. You tend to buy several times, right? It tends to make sense to buy maybe $1,000 every month. But then when Bitcoin goes up by say 5x, and then you have to exit maybe half of your portfolio, the amount that you have to sell is way, way larger. You don't have that much time to sell. Prices aren't elevated forever. So say you're buying in $1,000 every month for 3 years, you invested 36K. Now Bitcoin goes up by 5x. Now you're at more than 150K. And now you've got to sell more than half. You're exiting maybe with 80K. You have to make a single transaction selling for 80K. It's very hard. Most people can't do that. Your buying transactions are $1,000. Your selling transaction has to be $80,000. And on top of that, you hear everybody else around you telling how great crypto is, how Bitcoin will go to 200, 300, 400K. And you have to be massively contrarian at that point. That's super, super hard. Most people do not find the exit. A lot of people are able to buy low, but very few people are able to sell high as well. Now, my plan might not be perfect, but at least I have a plan. Make sure you also have a plan. Have some kind of number, have some kind of model, have some kind of an approach when you do want to potentially rebalance your portfolio if your crypto position gets too dominant and you're not properly diversified anymore. You do not want to be majorly in cryptocurrencies when the altcoins might go down by 90 or 95% in a bear market. It's very much possible. It happened several times in the past. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. If you've got Telegram, check it out. There is a free group. The link is down below.